This cowl takes only around 3 hours to make, and it is made using the Tunisian crochet mesh stitch, and it is a superb autumn project. The yarn is James Brett Marble Chunky 100% acrylic, and this yarn features a number of beautiful autumn colours perfect for this project. I used just over 100 grams of yarn, so a 200 gram ball of yarn is more than adequate, and I used a 14-inch long 8mm Tunisian crochet hook. The dimensions I'm aiming for with this cowl is a length of 28 inches and a width of 14 inches, and for a width of 14 inches I need to create a chain of 37 to make my Tunisian crochet foundation row. And because this project is made using the Tunisian crochet mesh stitch, an odd number of stitches is required. And this is the chain of 37 that measures 14 inches long, and now I am going to do a Tunisian crochet foundation row. To save time, the link on how to do this is above. When cast on is complete, the number of loops on the hook should be the same as the number of chains on the foundation chain, in this case 37. This is the first return pass, and as always after chaining one I like to mark the stitch space for the end of the next forward pass. I'm now completing the return pass for the Tunisian crochet foundation row. The forward pass and all forward passes will be Tunisian crochet mesh stitch, and the link on how to do the mesh stitch is above. For the mesh stitch, when there is one loop on the hook, yarn over, miss the next stitch, then insert the hook behind the front vertical bar of the stitch after that, yarn over and pull up a loop. And repeat these stitches all the way along the row. So yarn over, miss the next stitch, insert the hook behind the front vertical bar of the stitch next to that, yarn over and pull up a loop. And continue with these stitches all the way along the row until the last marked stitch. And this is the end of the forward pass, so miss the second to last stitch, yarn over, and then insert the hook in the marked space. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And now for a normal return pass. So chain one, mark the stitch space for the end of the next forward pass, and continue with a normal return pass. So I'm just completing the return pass, and for the next forward pass this is going to be exactly the same as the first forward pass. Yarn over, miss the second stitch, and insert the hook behind the front vertical bar of the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and at this stage you can see the rather open mesh-like fabric starting to appear. Out of interest, I timed myself how long it took to do a forward pass and a return pass, and the time it took me was 3 minutes. I'm sure a lot of people can do it a lot faster than that, but it is a very useful indicator of how long this project will take to complete. And after a few rows you get a good idea of what the completed fabric will look like. And it also looks nice on the reverse. So just keep going with forward passes and return passes until the cowl is of the required length. In this case I chose a length of 28 inches. This I found to be the sweet spot, not too tight and not too loose. Just checking the length here, and it is 28 inches, perfect. So what we have is a completed return pass with one loop left on the hook, and so all that remains is to add a twist and slip stitch the edges of the fabric together. So the first slip stitch is into the stitches at the edges of the rows on opposite sides, yarn over and pull through all the loops. The next slip stitch is by placing the hook under the next vertical bar, insert the hook behind the front loop on the opposite side, yarn over and pull through all three loops. There will be one loop left on the hook, and now insert the hook behind the next vertical bar. Now insert the hook into the corresponding stitch at the on the opposite side, yarn over and pull through all the loops. At the end of the row, the last slip stitch is into the marked space at the end of the row, and then insert the hook into the corresponding space at the edge of the row on the opposite side. Pull through all the loops and the slip stitching is then complete. And this is what the slip stitched seam looks like on both sides. And all that remains is to sew in the loose ends. For this 28-inch long cowl I needed to do 54 rows, and it took me 3 minutes to do each row, so the length of time the whole project took was around 3 hours. Here is the completed 3-hour autumn Tunisian crochet mesh stitch cowl with a twist. Here it is in situ, and I think you would agree that a length of 28 inches is perfect.